Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to today's video. Today I want to talk about trusting the process. Whatever it is that you do in life, you follow a process to get from point A to point B. And oftentimes that process is not linear. It's filled with ups and downs, wins, losses, failures, embarrassments, great successes. It's really unpredictable, and you don't know what you're getting into when you embark on that journey or that process. But something I've seen is that I think it's a very cliche statement to trust the process, but there's a lot of truth in it, which is why it's cliche. And what happens is you go through this process doing the thing in a very mundane way, or doing the thing and not getting results. And sometimes you get frustrated. You don't know why you're doing this. What's the purpose of it? When am I going to get the results? And I think one of two things happens. One, you need to change your mindset to the fact that you're doing this thing for the love of doing it and for the enjoyment of the process. That's a key mindset to get success in that process, or getting results in that certain aspect of life that you're doing. The other thing is that you'll only really get results from this thing once you truly fall in love with the process. So your mindset shift to the process is the result. The growth that you get is the result, rather than these external things that validate you. And so I've seen it so much so that whenever you're following the process, whenever you're self-improving or trying to work on something, you go through this period of limbo where you don't really see any results, but you're putting in the work. You see it a lot at the gym, when you work on your social skills, self-improving, your relationship with God, relationship with your partner, anything. There's this period where you're not completely a newbie and you have made progress from where you first started, but you're also not really getting any sort of consistent results in whatever you're doing. And so this middle ground is actually where most people quit, because they get frustrated with the process and then they want results now. And so they inevitably quit the process and quit that journey before they even see results, which I think is a waste of time. Unless you feel like this is not actually aligned with you, then in that case, it's a good use of time and a good decision to make. But most people quit before they even start to see any sort of results. I see this all the time at the gym, where you'll see people becoming consistent for about a year, and then they just are never seen again until maybe the next year or maybe 2 years' time, when they're inevitably in the exact same spot. Whereas if they had just followed the process, they would have consistent results, compounding gains, and they would be way further than what they are. But that's what I say. The frustrating thing is not seeing results and getting or feeling like your value or your progress in that process is based on the results, when it's not actually. It's based on your mindset towards that, your relationship with that process, as well as how much commitment and how disciplined and how hard you're working towards that. Because if you have those things, if you have those fundamentals down, whatever process you follow, you're going to achieve success in it. I can guarantee that. But because most people don't have those fundamentals, they follow the process for a little bit, get frustrated, and then quit. But what I want to say is that there's going to be a time where that process is frustrated. It's making you frustrated. You're getting frustrated over and over and over and over again. And you think about quitting, but you still continue doing it. And there's going to be a point where all of a sudden, the pain of following the process isn't as much as it was before, because you've kind of accepted that this is how things are and this is how you're going to go about doing this. And then what happens is that the process becomes a part of your life. It becomes essentially instilled and programmed into your habits or who you are as a person or your identity. And so you just do the things, but still you're not really getting any consistent results. But then what happens is, for some people it can be very quick or it could be very long, but the main commonality between that is having stuck through the process. What happens after that limbo stage and after that intermediate stage, is now you actually start to get the results that you want. But not even because you really want those results, but because you've ingrained this habit and you've ingrained this process so deeply into yourself that it's now who you are, and you're unconsciously competent in that area of life. And so the results are actually a byproduct of your identity, not necessarily what you're doing. Obviously what you're doing creates the results, but what you're doing is based on your identity because of the process that you followed. And so therefore your identity creates the actions, and the actions create the results. But without the process, you're missing out on the middle part, which is the beliefs that inspire the certain actions, and then obviously muscle memory or unconsciously competent actions. So that's why most people quit the process. They never get to the point where they internalize the beliefs or the actions and make it a part of their identity and who they are. But in those early stages, they seek their identity and they want validation from the process without following the process. And so it's no wonder why people, first of all, don't get results, but also why they quit, because it's just a lack of patience. It's a lack of understanding the fundamentals of commitment to something, discipline, hard work, consistency. With those 4 things, you can literally master anything, and that's a guarantee. And I think it's also important that in your life, when you have something that you've succeeded in, you identify how you got from not being good at that thing or not knowing how to do that thing to getting to the point where you are very good at that thing and you are very competent at it. If you copy and paste that process, because that's obviously something that worked for you, into another aspect of your life, it's literally a repeatable formula for you to succeed and for you to master a process. That being said, it's not going to be easy. You are going to have challenges. It's going to be frustrating, but you will always have that reference experience at the back of your mind saying that I once followed this process and I got great results from it, not because I was looking for results, but because of who I am now and who my identity is. And it's a byproduct of that rather than I want these results or I need these results. It's just who I am. And if you haven't followed a process and this is all foreign to you, I think knowing those 4 fundamentals, try and nail those down. Try really commit to something, be disciplined in it, hard work and consistent, and always catch yourself understanding that if this is something you value, if you value self-improving, you need to show up with those 4 mindsets. You need to have those 4 things on lock, and everything will kind of come automatically, because with those comes the offspring of learning, of practice, of feedback, of letting go of the ego and allowing yourself to learn from the process. So if you have followed the process and succeeded from it, copy and paste that to another aspect of your life. And if you haven't, understand those 4 fundamentals and really try to apply that to something that you value, and you must value it. Otherwise, when it gets tough, there's just going to be no emotional investment in that. You're not going to want to see it through and you're going to quit. So find something that you're passionate about and then apply those 4 fundamentals to it. Follow the process and you will win. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.